What's up, YouTube? This is CJ.
And Sarah.
It's a Wednesday, and that means it's time for another Keto
Conversation.
So let's get started. And it feels like our vacation was a long time ago.
That's just because we're in the midst of so many home projects.
Yeah,
we're wishing we could go back on vacation.
Yeah, we've got, let's see, so we had our house painted last week.
And we're doing electrical to put in different appliances in different areas.
Yeah, some electrical work's being done tomorrow.
So that we can put in countertops.
Yes, and so we got some just upgrading some stuff that's needed to be done for a long time. So yeah, we're trying to get back into the swing of things. I know I've kind of struggled with, I don't know if it's the time zone or what, but I've kind of struggled just physically feeling tired a lot. Lethargic. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to somebody at work, my boss, who's got her son's, one of her sons lives in Hawaii, and he goes back and forth a lot. And she said he experiences that a lot.
Oh,
it's something about.
That's good to know.
It's something about, because they're 3 hours behind us versus going the other way, which is 3 hours ahead of us, like going to the East Coast. So she said that he always struggles a little bit.
It's an entirely different place all on its own. I guess it has 11 of the 13 weather condition climates, I guess, possible in the world. They have 11 of the 13.
Wow.
They can happen all at one time, is what they were telling us at the national park. So, I mean, it's like a universe all on its own.
Yeah.
Hawaii is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So anyway. So we're back. We're trying to get back into the swing of things as far as with YouTube. We did the recipe on Sunday, last part of the salad series, and now we're got a special recipe coming.
We do have a vacation-inspired recipe coming on Sunday.
Yeah, so we do. And so we're going to get into the keto conversation tonight, and you found a good blog post.
Yes.
From the folks over at Keto Evangelist.
Yep.
And what was the name of the blog post?
It's basically talking about learn the science, not the rules, because it seems like that when a person embarks on a ketogenic lifestyle, they have a lot of questions up front, and a lot of times it's, can I do this? Can I eat that? Right. What if I don't like that food? What if it's not on the list? Is it really keto? You know, we get a lot of those questions.
Yeah.
From our subscribers.
And we understand why people are like that. I mean, you know, when I started keto, I actually bought some material. Mm-hmm. It had a food list. It had all these different things. When I've done other things in the past, when I did Weight Watchers, you know, Weight Watchers give you an entire plan that says.
We're used to rules.
Yeah, we're used to diets that have rules and guidelines, and they say basically if you do this you can get to this point, and we like that. We don't like to have to do a lot of thinking. We want to be able to, you know, follow the directions and get the results, or some people want to take a magic pill and hope they get the results too. I've been on that way before. But so again, this talk is about how important it is for you to learn the science behind keto and not just the rules of keto.
Because I think one of the things that I hear most often, because I'm generally the one who looks at comments and answers questions, is a lot of times people will either ask or tell, depending on their viewpoint, that is that keto or that's not keto. So a lot of times they'll ask me if it's keto, or they'll make a blatant statement that whatever I have prepared in a certain recipe is not keto.
Right.
Right off the top, there is no such thing. Ketosis is a state in your body where you are burning fat instead of glucose. So no food or unfood is naturally ketogenic or provides ketosis. That is a state. So there is no magic food that is keto or not keto.
Okay, and so as I'm listening you say that, I'm thinking people's heads are like exploding.
That brain
people-
blowing up emoji.
People's heads are exploding, and so I'm gonna try to interpret what you just said.
Okay.
So, because ketosis again is a state that your body goes into once you've burned up all your.
Where you're no longer using glucose.
Right, you're not using your glucose as fuel, and so although you could theoretically eat anything.
That's correct. Say you were going to have a colonoscopy and they wanted you to fast for 24 hours. More than likely at a certain point during that time you would then be in ketosis because you would have removed all the food and sugars from your body. Children in the age group of my daughters, 7 and 9, can get into ketosis within 12 hours just while they're sleeping. Babies are born in ketosis and they're not eating any food at all.
Right.
So there's no such thing as a food or a list of foods that is going to put you in ketosis. And that, I guess, is the reason why.
But there are foods that will help facilitate that.
Assist you in reaching that
and so
state.
I guess that's what I want to make sure people understand.
Exactly. And that's why we wanted to discuss this, is because it's not about rules or food lists. It's about learning the science of why ketosis can happen, why you want it to happen, and how you can get there.
Right.
And so it's learning the mechanisms of ketosis that's most important when you embark on this lifestyle. And so, like CJ said, getting that education and also continuing education, because they're learning things all the time. Because we don't know everything there is to know about this state, because there's not an awful lot of research.
There's new science, there's new studies being done all the time that are being published about what they're finding for people that are doing keto as a lifestyle and low carb as a lifestyle. There's more and more science coming out about that.
So there are people, obviously we have guidelines. Generally there's a guideline when someone says I'm practicing the ketogenic lifestyle.
And I guess I want to make sure people understand that too. We're not saying that you need to just forget everything you've learned about keto and do anything that you want. Although technically you could do that because you're an adult and you can do anything you can do anything you want.
You can color inside the lines or not.
But we are saying that yes, there are foods that will help you facilitate getting into ketosis better than other foods. But if you understand why you're going into ketosis and what the foods are doing or not doing, then that will help you kind of free you from a lot of the rules. And because, so for example, if you've been around keto for a while and you watch any channels, you see people talk about intermittent fasting all the time, or you see people talk about fasting all the time, or just not intermittent fast, but just fasting. You see people talking about that. Well, you can actually get into ketosis by just fasting. There's people who fast who aren't doing keto.
There are people,
and they get into
large
ketosis.
Groups of people who practice intermittent fasting as a lifestyle that do not practice the low carb lifestyle.
And they're not doing low carb or keto.
They eat the standard American diet. They eat paleo. They're vegans. It doesn't matter. It is the act of them lowering their insulin that gets them into the state of ketosis. And so, once again, that takes you back to the science of learning about insulin and learning about how insulin affects your body. So, once again, it's going back to the science. Because, yes, while there are a number of foods that will help you perhaps get into the state of ketosis, it varies from individual to individual whether those foods will do that for you or not, and at what level. So even though there's a standard for ketosis, say like keeping your carbs under 20 grams, there are people who have to go lower than that. There are people who can eat 50 grams of carbs a day and still lose weight. There are people who have 100 pounds to lose and can eat more carbohydrates and lose weight. Then there are people who are closer to their goal and have to monitor their carbs more closely. So once again, not only do you need to know the science of why this might be possible, but then you also have to follow that up with learning about your own body. And I think that is another big point to carry home, is because only you can know you, and a lot of times you have to be your own experiment.
Yeah, and I can say that when I started keto. Again, I purchased stuff and a plan and basically guidelines. That's what I'll call them. And I still look at that stuff from time to time. But a lot of what I've learned has come from experimentation on myself, but also listening and doing continuing education through podcasts, through reading books, through watching videos on YouTube, and then kind of trying to apply those things. And so I guess we say this a lot on our channel, that you've got to figure out how to make keto work for you.
Right. And
you got to understand that what you do or what I do or what Sarah does may not even be the same thing.
Like we have those videos, what we eat on keto. They're very enlightening and maybe entertaining, maybe you watch other people's videos of the same style, but you could theoretically eat exactly what we eat every day and see different results than we do.
That's
just
true.
Simply because we're all different human beings. And that's
true.
where it comes in, needing that science, needing the knowledge of your own body, and experimenting.
Yeah. And I think as a person, myself, who started with, with being pre-diabetic or being a type 2 diabetic, I have some challenges that maybe you don't face.
I've never been.
So for example, I'm probably 99% sure that I'm insulin resistant.
Yes.
And that, when I eat even something that's keto safe and it's a sweetener, I still have to be concerned about how it affects my insulin. I know that. And I have to make adjustments to handle that. But it's just a reality of my keto journey versus your keto journey.
Right.
And is it fair? No, it ain't fair. I wish that my keto journey was exactly like yours.
Well, ironically, usually
it's
it's the other way around. Generally, if it was a couple doing the ketogenic diet, the woman usually has more difficulty or slower weight loss, or it's generally more different than it would be. Usually the man loses more quickly, but in our particular couple circumstances, CJ is insulin resistant, and I never have been.
Right.
Even at my heaviest weight, my blood sugars were normal, if not on the low side. So I never had high blood pressure. I never had any of those, physical parameters. That does not mean to say that my ketogenic journey has been a breeze. There's lots of things I've had to learn about myself.
Yeah.
My own thresholds for all kinds of things.
Right.
My threshold for carb intake, for fasting, things I can eat and things that I can't eat that are even considered ketogenic. So once again, I think the key point here is knowledge and understanding.
Right.
So if you can take away from what we're talking about tonight, is that you need knowledge and you also need understanding. So you can take in all the knowledge in the universe about the ketogenic lifestyle. Mm-hmm. But if you don't understand how it relates to you personally, then it's not going to do you any good. So you do have to bring that back home to your own personal circumstances.
Yeah, and I, as we're talking, I'm thinking, there's still people who we just want rules. We want it laid out. We want to do it, and then we just want to be done. And I get that too. I've been there, done that. Again, that's when I used to do Weight Watchers. That's why I did it, because there was a plan.
Well, it's the same. It's the same reason that that places like Medifast or whatever, they send you, or even like a home chef, a meal delivery system, brings you your food in a box, and they give you a pamphlet that tells you how to prepare the food in the box, and those are like a rage where everybody orders them.
Big deal now.
So even within a standard American diet, people like, here's your stuff, here's how you make it, you're done. Yep. So you don't even have to follow a recipe or think, you don't have to go to the grocery store and decide what you need to buy. So by nature, we are a society that likes to be given a set of parameters.
Yeah, and we like to work within those parameters, because I think maybe we think it makes life easier. Now, I was just thinking of, so this week one of my bosses told me that her husband's starting keto. And so we were kind of just talking about, and he actually is going to start with one of those, a keto meal service that delivers meals to their home, and then that he can prepare them. And so I was talking to her, because now she doesn't, as far as just if you look at her, she's really,
very slim,
really slender, small person. But as I was talking to her, I was trying to tell her that, if he can understand some really basic, and it really comes back to this, some of the science behind why keto will work and why it does work, then he will be able to go a lot further, even if he's not doing it necessarily perfectly.
Right.
And so as I was talking to her, it was kind of like, so one of the things I tell her is he needs to make sure that he doesn't try to mix keto with low fat. People
Right.
do that all the time. Say, okay, well, I'm gonna
like
eat,
the South Beach diet.
yeah, I'm gonna eat turkey instead of
a whole lot of chicken breast, and
I'm gonna do that
things.
because you're kind of mixing some stuff that you've been taught, that we've all been taught for years. But when I was talking to her, I was trying to get her to understand, so that because she's trying to help him, she wants him to be successful, that these are the things that will help make keto work for him.
Right.
And if he can focus on those things, especially starting right off, and not get all scattered and too far all over the place, then it'll work, and he can have long enough. It can work for him long enough, or he can stick with it long enough for it to work for him, and he can start seeing results.
Right.
And so it was kind of coming back to this. So this is me talking to a person that's not even doing keto.
We need a Keto for Dummies book.
Maybe we should write that.
Where it's like super, super simple, dumbed down, and I don't mean that in any kind of rude way, but like super bare bones. Like, this is insulin. This is what insulin does. Like one of those, learning cartoons for kids.
And so, but maybe we're not emphasizing enough, because we all want to know how to do keto so we can get the results, but maybe we don't understand why you do it and what it's actually doing in your body.
Right.
And that might be something we're
and
not saying.
And then how
enough.
carbs play a role in that.
Right.
Because
So
everybody's carbs are the enemy, and I don't eat carbs, and that's the big thing with keto and low carb. But it's not necessarily carbs. They're not bad, and so I think sometimes even, there's a misunderstanding about that. So it's learning how those play into what ketosis is and what your body is doing.
Right.
So.
And so understanding the knowledge and how keto works, how it affects your body. Because again, we talk about keto as a lifestyle all the time, not just as a diet. And so that's kind of where we are in this, because again, we live keto every day, all the time.
It's going to be, next month is going to be 4 years for me.
Yeah.
So that's 2 actively losing weight and 2 that I've maintained.
That just maintaining the weight. And
well, I think that you had planned on listing some resources.
Yeah, so it just so happens, and we found this blog post. You found this last night because we were scrambling around like, what are we going to talk about for Keto Conversation? Which is this is what happens all the time. But it just so happens that the good folks over at Keto Connect did a video over the weekend called talking about the science, and I think it was 6 studies, medical studies that people doing keto need to read. I have not watched the video, but I did look at the description, and it had a lot of links to a lot of good references. It's also got some kind of a lot of people in the video who again talk about the science of keto.
They stay up on
they stay up on the science of keto. And so again, that's from the folks over at Keto Connect. I have not watched it. I'm going to try to watch it this week.
You said it had Mike Mutzel from High Intensity Health.
What's his name?
Mike Mutzel.
Mike Mutzel?
Mutzel. M-U-T-Z-E-L, I think.
And Mike Mutzel lives actually right up the road from us. Not that we know him or anything, but he lives in the same state.
He lives in Washington State.
He lives in the same state.
Yes.
We'd love to meet him. But he's so again, it was just kind of interesting that
we were going to talk about this.
Right, and they already have
too.
some stuff already. So, And again, there's a lot of good resources. If you want to get a lot of science behind just stuff about keto, Thomas DeLauer is a person who really breaks it down.
He does a lot of
Yeah.
the scientific study stuff
Yeah,
as well.
he really will break down a lot of stuff as he's talking about a topic. Who else? Dr. Berg does. Dr. Berg tries to break stuff down, the science down pretty quickly when he does videos.
There's a lot of really good researchers that people have podcasts. If you have Apple, and even if you don't have Apple, you can just go
there's a lot of podcast services.
to podcast services and just enter in the search bar keto. And you'll bring up all the gurus, all the influencers in a ketogenic lifestyle right now. And
Right.
because keto is freedom, and it's powered by information, and you want to find that information and read that information. Learn about it, because you're going to want to know for yourself. Maybe other people are going to ask you questions. It's good to have information always.
And the more information you have, the more confident you can feel just about how you're doing things, and if you have a good understanding. And so when the keto police come and try to tell you that you're not doing stuff
Those tomatoes aren't keto.
not doing stuff the right way, you can know inside yourself that, you know what, I'm okay.
Yes.
I'm okay with what I'm doing, because I understand how keto works. I understand what it's doing in my body. I understand why I'm doing it and the benefits that I'm receiving. And that's really what we want you to be able to do. We want you to be able to have success in keto and figure out how to make this journey work for you. So if you're new to this channel, we do these keto conversations every week. We do new recipes every Sunday. And then we do what we eat videos a couple of times a month. I will say that we have lost one of our cameras, basically because of me. Down in Hawaii, a camera got damaged, and so the what I eat on keto videos, they're not on pause, but we got to figure out how to get that going again.
Until we can get another vlogging
because we've lost one of those cameras because of just something bonehead that I did.
It was a Rogue Wave. We're just gonna go with that. It was a Rogue Wave.
Yeah, it just came out of nowhere. It just so happens that the camera was close to the ground.
Someone was trying to capture said Rogue Wave.
Yes. It has crushed our camera. So anyway, this is our Keto Conversation segment. We are here every week. We hope that you consider subscribing. We'd love to have you as part of our keto family, and we'd love to help you have success on the keto diet and the keto journey. So thanks for watching, and we'll hope to see you next week. Bye-bye. Peace.